Module 4, Lesson 30, One-Step Problems in the Real World. Our learning target for today, I can calculate missing angle measures by writing and solving equations. So today we're going to be using angles and finding missing angles with using equations. So in the last few lessons, we talked about how we write equations and how we solve equations, and now we're going to use that knowledge to help us find missing angle measurements. And before we can do that, we need to talk about the different types of angles. And so our first angle is an acute angle, and it is less than 90 degrees. So it might look like this. And then we have an obtuse angle, which is going to be between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. And it might look like this. We also have a right angle, which is exactly 90 degrees, and it will look like this. And you're going to also know that this is a right angle because it's going to have that little square in the corner. And then we have a straight angle, which is exactly 180 degrees, and it will look like this. It's just a straight line. So now that we've gone over 4 different types of angles, we can start solving some problems. So our first one says that angle ABC measures 90 degrees. We also know this because if you look at the picture, it has that little square in the corner. And the angle has been separated into 2 angles. If one angle measures 57 degrees, what is the measure of the other angle? So we know that the total has to be 90. So we can set up an equation. And to get to 90, we have to add both of the smaller angles together. So we're going to have 57 degrees plus x degrees is equal to 90 degrees. And now we can solve. So we're going to subtract 57 from both sides, because remember, whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So x is equal to 33 degrees. So our angle measure for x is 33 degrees. Our second example, Michelle is designing a parking lot. She has determined that one of the angles should be 115 degrees. What is the measure of angle X and angle Y? So if we look at the picture, we can see that if we add 115 to X, it's going to make a straight line. And we know that a straight line is going to equal 180. So we can write our equation as X degrees plus 115 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. And now we can solve. So we're going to subtract 115 from both sides. So we have x is equal to 65 degrees. So this is 65 degrees. And if you look, we can see that x and y also make up a straight line. Or you could also say that it is 115 plus y. And if you did 115 plus y, because maybe you can't tell that x and y make a straight line, which is okay. So we'd have 115 plus y is equal to 180. We do the same thing, subtract 115 from both sides, and you end up with 65 degrees. And 65 degrees plus 65 degrees is 180 degrees. So both angles are going to be 65 degrees. Next, we have a beam of light that is being reflected off of a mirror, and below is a diagram of the reflected beam. Determine the missing angle measure. So we can see that there are 3 angles, and if we were to add up all 3 of these angles, we would get a straight line. So in our equation, I'm going to have 55 degrees plus x degrees plus 55 degrees is going to be equal to 180. And we can start by adding the 55s together to get 110. So we're going to have 110 degrees plus x degrees is equal to 180. And then we subtract 110 from both sides. So we're going to have x is equal to 70 degrees. And if we added them all up, so 55 plus 70 plus 55, we would get 180. So we know our answer is correct. Next, we have an angle of ABC that measures 90 degrees, and we know this because it has a little square in the corner. And it has been split into two angles, ABD and DBC. The measure of the two angles is in a ratio of 2 to 1. So what are the measures of each angle? So we are going to use the variable x like we've been using. So with our ratio, we can say that this is 2x and this is x. So we can write our equation. So 2x plus x is going to equal 90 degrees. Since both of these have an x in them, we can add them together to get 3x. So we'll have 3x is equal to 90. Divide both sides by 3. So x is equal to 30. So our single x is going to be 30 degrees. And to get our 2x, we're just going to take the 30 and we're going to multiply it by 2 to get 60. So this other angle is 60 degrees. So now we're going to solve for x. And we can tell that if we add up all three of these angles, we're going to get 180 degrees. So I'm going to have 64 plus x plus 37 is equal to 180. We can add 64 and 37 together to get 101. So we're going to have x plus 101 is equal to 180. Subtract 101 from both sides. So x is equal to 79 degrees. So this is 79 degrees. Candace is building a rectangular piece of a fence according to the plans her boss gave her. One of the angles is not labeled. Write an equation and use it to determine the measure of the unknown angle. So this is obviously a rectangle, and we can see that one corner down here is a right angle, and so we know all our corners are also right angles. So we know that it has to equal 90 degrees. So our equation can be written as 49 plus x is equal to 90. Subtract 49 from both sides. X is equal to 41 degrees, so our missing angle is 41 degrees. Rashid hit a hockey puck against the wall at a 38-degree angle. The puck hit the wall and traveled in a new direction. Determine the missing angle in the diagram. So we can see that if all three of these angles are added up, we're going to get 180. So our equation can be 38 plus x plus 38 is equal to 180. We can add both of the 38s together to get 76. So we'll have 76 plus x is equal to 180. Subtract 76 from both sides. So x is equal to 104. So our missing angle is 104 degrees. And our last example. Jackson is creating a mosaic design on a rectangular table. He has added two pieces to one of the corners. The first piece has an angle measuring 38 degrees and is placed in the corner. A second piece has an angle measuring 27 degrees and is also placed in the corner. Draw a diagram to model the situation, then write an equation and use it to determine the measure of the unknown angle in a third piece that could be added to the corner of the table. So I'm going to start by drawing our diagram. So it is a right angle, because it's a rectangular table, and those have corners of 90 degrees. And we have to split it one way, and this has an angle of 38 degrees. We're going to split it again, and this has an angle of 27 degrees, and we want to find our missing angle, which I'm going to call x. So together, all of them have to equal 90 degrees. So we are going to have x plus 27 plus 38 is equal to 90. We can start by adding 27 and 38 together. So we're going to have x plus 65 is equal to 90. Subtract 65 from both sides. So x is equal to 25 degrees. So our missing angle is 25 degrees. And that's it. Now you can go complete the problem set.